South Wales bushfires have brought devastation, shock and distress to thousands of people. So is this the right time to be seeking political mileage from a human tragedy? Well, Adam Bant, the Greens deputy leader, has already copped quite a bit of flack for this tweet. Why Tony Abbott's plan means more bushfires for Australia and more pictures like this of Sydney.
And in an article in The Guardian online, he argues that by repealing the carbon tax, the government is failing to protect people from climate change that leads to bushfires. Adam Bant joins us now from Melbourne. Adam Bant, you've been seeing what's happening in New South Wales and throughout yesterday, this morning as well. Do you feel like your timing was terrible?
I think what's happening in New South Wales is terrifying, and it reminds me of what happened here in Victoria not that long ago with the Black Saturday bushfires. I mean, property has been lost in New South Wales. People are waking up this morning trying to know whether or not they've been affected, and I think it's testament to the amazing work of the emergency services and people's preparation that we're not hearing worse stories. But there's one thing that firefighters and scientists have been telling us for some time, and that is that this is what global warming in Australia looks like, and it's going to mean more fires happening more often, and some of them more severe when they happen. And look, we're in October, and already we're witnessing bushfires that are pushing firefighters to the limit. Now, we do, as the Greens we've been saying for some time, and Christine Milne has been saying for some time, we need to draw the link between these extreme weather events and global warming. And I think it's our job as politicians to do everything we can to stop these kind of tragedies from happening again. I think that...
Sorry, but I just want to get to the point of your tweets yesterday and the particular piece that you wrote. I mean, people had been discussing the link between climate change and natural emergencies. The timing yesterday seemed very poor indeed, considering people were trying to save their lives, they didn't know where their children were, and homes were burning down.
Well, let's talk about the timing. It's October, and we're having a tragic bushfire. And meanwhile, Tony Abbott and his ministers have been out every day this week saying that they're going to take Australia backwards when it comes to combating global warming. Now, global warming is the biggest threat to the Australian way of life that we've ever seen. I don't want every summer, let alone every spring, but I do not want every summer for us to be worrying about whether we're going to see these kind of bushfires again, to have to worry about threats to people's property and threats to people's safety. But that's what is on the cards, and that's sadly what we're being told we're living through at the moment. And I know it's uncomfortable to have a discussion about it, but I think it's our job as politicians. The rest of the country is looking on at New South Wales, worried about what's happening, and we're saying what we should be saying is what can we do to stop this happening again.
Okay, so you're not backing down on the timing of your tweet. You thought that was appropriate.
Well, Tony Abbott has picked this week, when in the last 12 months...
I'm just asking you about your actions yesterday, that's all.
Yeah, well, in the last 12 months, we've had the hottest year on record, the hottest month on record, the hottest week on record, and the hottest day on record. And Tony Abbott has picked this time to say he's going to rip up action on global warming and in fact allow more pollution, which is going to mean these kind of fires we will see happening more often. And I think given that Parliament's about to resume shortly and global warming is on the agenda for debate, we should be talking about how we as politicians can do everything we can to protect the Australian way of life.
Okay, well let's talk now about the language that you used in your piece, particularly you, and I'll quote you here. You said, "Donning a volunteer firefighter uniform for the media is a con if you're also helping start fires that put people's lives in danger." That's extreme language, isn't it? To put this fire and the responsibility for this fire directly in the hands of Tony Abbott.
Well, this is what the scientists are telling us, is that if we don't get global warming under control, then the kind of fires that we saw in Victoria on Black Saturday are expected to happen on average somewhere around once every 2 years in Victoria, and it's going to be worse across the country as well. And there is a very, very strong link between these kind of extreme weather events that we're seeing and global warming. It's what it looks like in our country. And so I think, it was Ronald Reagan who said that the first duty of a government is to protect its people.
Yeah.
And Tony Abbott is failing to talk about the consequences of global warming, and we're seeing those consequences, and he should be leading us. At this time we need someone who is going to lead us in the fight against global warming and protect these kind of tragedies and prevent them from happening in the future, and he's just not doing that.
Adam Bant, we're short on time. I've just got one final question. The language that you did use in that piece, is that the sort of language that we're going to hear more from the Greens as your power base lessons with the new Senate next year? Are you going to have to be using these startling terms and claims just to be heard above the noise?
I don't think that talking about protecting the Australian way of life and stopping fires from happening in the future is startling. And what we're doing is relaying the message that scientists, that firefighters, that others have been saying for some time. And I hope that if there's a national discussion about global warming, we understand that it's about protecting Australians from this kind of disaster and tragedy in the future.
Thanks very much for your time this morning, Adam Bant.
Thanks.